Let me break down a problem that's costing tech workers hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. You get offered $180,000 as a contractor at Anthropic, an incredible AI research company that's revolutionizing the industry. You do the math. $180K a year sounds amazing. You tell your friends. You start imagining what you'll do with that money. But here's what nobody tells you. That $180K contract offer is actually worth about $45,000 less than it appears. And if you don't understand why, you're about to make a massive financial mistake. Let's start with the biggest culprit, self-employment taxes. When you're a W-2 employee, your employer pays half of your Social Security and Medicare taxes. That's 65%. You pay the other half. It's split. But when you're a contractor, there's no split. You're responsible for both halves. That's 3% of your net income going directly to self-employment taxes. On a $180K contract, that's roughly $27,540 right off the top, before you even consider federal income tax, state taxes, or anything else. But wait, it gets worse. Let's talk about what you're actually losing beyond just taxes. First, health insurance. When you're an employee at a company like Anthropic, your employer typically covers 75-85% of your health insurance premium. That's worth approximately $12,000 to $18,000 per year in actual value. As a contractor, you're buying your own health insurance on the individual market and you're paying full price. The ACA marketplace might cost you $800-$1,200 per month, depending on your location and coverage level. That's $9,600 to $14,400 per year. You're losing $3,000-$8,000 in employer contribution value annually. Second, retirement contribution. Most tech companies contribute 4-6% of salary to a 401k or similar retirement plan. That's an additional $7,200 to $10,800 per year in free money that contractors don't receive. As a contractor, you can set up a solo 401k or SEP IRA, but you're not getting matching contributions from anyone. You're paying 100% of that retirement savings yourself. Third, paid time off. Employees at top tech companies get 20-30 days of paid vacation, plus 10-15 days of sick leave, plus company holidays. That's roughly 45-55 days per year where you're getting paid to not work. As a contractor, every day you're not working is a day you're not earning money. If we value your working days at about $692 per day, based on $180K divided by 260 working days, losing 50 days of PTO is worth $34,600 per year. That's massive. Fourth, unemployment insurance and workers' compensation. Employees have these safety nets. Contractors don't. If you get injured or lose your contract, there's no backup. This is harder to quantify in pure dollar, but it's real risk. Fifth, professional development budgets. Most tech companies give employees $500-$3,000 per year for conferences, courses, and learning. Contractors need to pay for this themselves. So let's do the actual math on that $180K offer. Gross contract amount, $180,000 self-employment taxes 3%. $27,540 loss of employer health insurance contribution, $6,000 conservative estimate loss of $401K matching, $8,000 loss of paid time off valued at 50 days, $34,600 loss of other benefits and professional development, $2,000 subtotal, $101,860, but that's before federal income tax, state income tax, and any business expenses. Federal income tax on the remaining $152,460 could be another $30,000-$35,000 depending on your bracket. State taxes could be another $5,000-$10,000. That brings us down to roughly $115,000-$120,000 in actual take-home pay after all taxes and tax-advantaged benefits. So yes, that $180K offer is really a $120K offer when you do the full accounting. The gap between what was promised and what you actually receive, about $60,000. Now here's where this gets interesting. If you were negotiating for a W-2 position with equivalent compensation, you'd need to ask for much more than $180K. Why? Because the company is benefiting from the contractor structure. They're not paying employer taxes, benefits, or overhead on contractors. They save about 25-35% compared to hiring W-2 employees for the same role. Let me give you a specific case study. A senior researcher friend of mine received a contract offer from a major AI lab, not Anthropic, but similar tier for $200K. He did the math, realized the true value was about $130K after taxes and lost benefits, and counter-offered at $280K, explaining the calculation. The company came back at $240K. He took it. That's an extra $40K per year, a 20% increase, just by understanding the true cost of contractor work. Here's another example. A machine learning engineer received a $150K contract offer from a startup. The startup didn't want to hire full-time employees yet. She negotiated it up to $195K by pointing out that she was essentially subsidizing the company's lack of employment overhead. The company agreed because even at $195K, they were saving 20% compared to hiring her as a W-2 employee with comparable total compensation. So what's the right way to think about contractor rates? Financial advisors generally recommend using this formula. Contractor rate equals desired annual salary divided by 0. 65. Why 0? 65. Because you'll lose roughly 25-30% to taxes and self-employment taxes you need to account for unpaid time off. Typically 15-20% of a standard job, you need buffer for business expenses. So if you want to actually net $180K per year, you need to negotiate a contract rate of about $277K. If the company won't go that high, then the contract role isn't actually worth your time compared to a solid W-2 position. Let me address some counterarguments I know you're thinking. First, but contractors get flexibility. Sure, sometime, but that flexibility isn't worth 30% of your compensation. And most contract roles, especially at research-focused companies like Anthropic, have pretty rigid expectations and deliverables. You're not really more flexible. Second, but I can deduct business expenses. Yes, you can deduct some things like home office setup, internet, certain software, professional development. But realistically, these might offset $3,000-$5,000 per year if you're organized about it. That's not going to close the $45K gap we identified. Third, but the contract might become a full-time role. Maybe, but you should make your decision based on the contract offer in front of you, not on speculation about what might happen. If someone promises you'll convert to full-time at some point, get that in writing with specific milestones and timelines. Now, the practical advice. If you're seriously considering a contractor role at a company like Anthropic, here's what you should do. 1. Calculate your true annual needs using the 0.65 formula. If you need to net $120K, you should be asking for at least $185K as a contractor. 2. Research what equivalent W-2 roles pay at that company. If Anthropic pays its research engineers $200K as W-2 employees, your contractor rate should be at least $280K to be equivalent. 3. Include in your negotiation a specific path to W-2 employment with a timeline. I'll do this contract for 6 months, and if it goes well, you'll bring me on as a full-time employee at specific salary. Get that in writing. 4. Negotiate for benefits even as a contractor. Some companies will cover health insurance or offer a stipend for contractors. It's unusual but worth asking. 5. If the company won't negotiate, walk away. There are other opportunities. The fact that they are offering below market rates for contractors suggests they're not valuing you appropriately anyway. The harsh truth is this: companies that offer attractive salary numbers for contractor roles are often banking on candidates not understanding the true cost. They're betting you'll accept $180K without doing the math. Once you do the math, you realize the real offer is insulting. At that point, you have a